Hello guys, Fens here and welcome to a bit of a different video. 10 hours ago, Blizzard posted a blue post about what they're intending to do to Retribution Aura in their crusade for Retribution Paladin viability. So Retribution Aura currently gives, whenever a party or raid member dies, you gain Avenging Wrath for 12 seconds. And whenever somebody else takes 50% of their health as damage in a single hit, you'll get Seraphim for 4 seconds. They're reworking that, so instead, now Retribution Aura is going to be granting 5% increased damage and healing for 10 seconds to all party or raid members whenever a party or raid member within 40 yards takes more than 50% of their health in damage. Now, it doesn't specify in a single hit, so the question is it going to be a cumulative? Is it going to be within a certain time frame? Or is it still going to be that one-hit wonder? I'm assuming it's going to be one hit. And that probably means you have to go fish for it to proc this proc. So that's going to be great. This can only occur once every 30 seconds. In addition, current Retribution Aura is basically just going to be a passive called Instrument of Retribution. So now Red Paladins specifically gain Avenging Wrath for 12 seconds whenever somebody dies. That is basically the change. So essentially, they're giving Red Paladin, or not Red Paladin, they're giving Paladin a raid buff. But do they need that? I don't think so. They already have one. Like, I don't think we need more raid buffs. There's too many already. It's not fun. Like, I don't like this raid buff meta bullshit. You could say, oh, Red Paladins aren't getting play, right? So let's give them a raid buff. So mandatory one Red Paladin in every raid. Woohoo. Not woohoo. That's not great. That's not fun. And we already have many. Like, look at this. There's 8 mandatory. Like, these are not optional. These are all mandatory. You're going to pull a boss without 5% stamina, 3% DR, 5% increased physical damage? Sure, you could argue Monk could be not mandatory if you're running no fucking physical damage dealers. But a Warrior is a physical damage dealer. A Hunter is a physical damage dealer. Most melee do a lot of melee attacks. That's physical. You're just losing crap tons of damage if you don't bring this. 5% intellect, 3% versatility, 5% magic damage. These are all mandatory. You have 3 more? Like, the Evoker one, yeah, it's just CDR and movement. So if you don't need movement that often, that thing is super optional. But right now, you need an Evoker for Razageth, I believe. But that is more for the button they bring, where they reset your cooldowns, than it is for the Aura, as far as I'm aware. But still, you bring one. Shaman, Wind Fury, Enhancement. Wind Fury is only ever as good as Enhancement is tuned at the moment, and how much Wind Fury benefits the other specs that happen to be tuned well. Right now it's very good, so right now it's mandatory, so you bring it. Warlock Hellstones, the only reason it's in potentially optional is that I believe Liquid killed Kurog world first without a Warlock in, proving that they're optional, but who the fuck is not going to take Healthstones? Like, I'm sorry, but why would you not? They do things at the bleeding edge, and usually what they need is damage. The rest of us mortals, when we're gonna get there, we do not need the damage. We have the gear to compensate for our skill, so we need health stones. Like, it's basically mandatory, right? So 11, essentially 11 mandatory, 8 fully mandatory, and then 3 basically mandatory. And then you have Death Knights and Hunters just crying in nothingness, just sitting here in oblivion crying that they have fucking, like, you can't take the 20% attack speed slow basically as a DK, and it does barely anything anyways. And Hunter needs to spend 2 points to get 5% party-wide leech. Like, and you want to give Paladin a second one? Paladin needs 2, whereas DK and Hunters gets none. You were already, like, kind of about to give Rogue 2, and the community didn't want it, right? Now you want to give Paladin 2? Like, please no. I don't want any more. We already have 11 slots locked in. We don't need 12. Just remove it. Or make a Bard. I think that's a good idea. Make a bard that does all of this. Just one class brings all of the fucking buffs. There we go. Brings all the buff and PI. That one guy just bring it all in. You need one. Then you can fucking fuck about with whatever else is left. That's a tangent. We're moving on. We are moving on. We're going into WoW. So they're making this change in order to address Retribution Paladin problems. The Retribution Paladins already have a raid buff. It's called Devotion Aura. The reason that raid buff never puts a Retribution Paladin in the raid is because Holy Paladin has this button, Aura Mastery, which is just better. It makes Devotion Aura a 50% or 15, sorry, not 50, 15% raid-wide DR on a 2.5 minute cooldown. It is just 2.5 minute cooldown. The entire raid, no matter where they are, within 40 yards, gets 15% DR. It's as good as some personal cooldowns. That is the reason you don't bring a Red Paladin for that buff. That, and they lose the damage from Aura of Swift Vengeance or the Retribution Aura, yeah? But here's the issue. If Aura Mastery works on your chosen aura, and Retribution Aura is available to Holy Paladin, it also works on Retribution Aura. Now, here it gives you 50% increased duration on Avenging Wrath, yeah? So instead of 12 seconds wings, you're going to get 18 seconds wings. For Devotion Aura, it's a 5 times potency multiplier. Right? 5 times. I can assure you, if it's 5 times potency aura for Retribution Aura as well, so that you gain 25% increased damage and healing rather than 5%, you're not going to look at a Red Paladin ever. You're not even going to look at them. And if you are going to look at them, it's going to be with disgust. You're going to bring 2 Holy Paladins then. There's no fucking reason to bring a Red Paladin even then, yeah? Even less reason to bring a Red Paladin then. Like, even if it's 10%, I don't think you'd bring a Red Paladin then. 10% during Bloodlust with all cooldowns and pods. You can have 10% of all your 3-minute cooldowns. If you bring 2 Holy Paladins. You have 10% increased damage to all 3-minute cooldowns. All 1.5 minute cooldowns. On the 3-minute mark, right? You can just pump up 10% increased rate damage for 8 seconds. Here you go. Like, you know, that's not gonna make you bring a Red Paladin. That's the problem. The problem is Holy does it better. And then, even if Aura Mastery, let's just say Aura Mastery doesn't, for some reason, Aura Mastery doesn't give you the Aura Mastery of your aura, if you pick the wrong aura, then Prot Paladin still has it. You still have Red Aura, because it's in the class tree. Everybody's going to have Retribution Aura. It is here. It's easy to get. Everybody has it available. And then you get Spell Lording with the Prot Paladin. Again, it's just because Red just brings the least of these 2 Paladin specs. Like, they already have a raid buff. They don't need a second raid buff. What they need to is they need to be able to compete with Holy for that fucking red Devotion Aura. They need to be able to compete with Prot Paladin for Blessing of Spell Warding. But Retribution Paladin has nothing. They have nothing. They need a button. They don't need a second raid buff. Unless you're going to make Retribution Aura specific to Retribution Paladins, which it might be the case, but that's not what they've been saying, then you're not helping them. Because you're just going to take a Holy Paladin and have them Aura Mastery on the Retribution Aura. Big fucking damn gore goes brrr. Right? You're just going to bring another fucking Holy Paladin. Or you're going to bring a Prot Paladin and you're going to have a Spell Warding. Like, why would you bring this? Why would you bring a red? Still. They need to address the issue, and the issue is Holy does it better. The issue is Aura Mastery. If they make Aura Mastery... put Aura Mastery in the class tree. Problem solved. All of a sudden, Red Paladin has a fucking... All of a sudden, you get a fucking raid DR on a DPS. Yes, we take those. Right? You put Aura Mastery in the class tree, boom. They have a rally. They can compete with rally. They can compete with darkness. All of a sudden, they're really fucking strong. You probably have to nerf it if you're going to do that. But all of a sudden, they're really fucking strong. And you don't have this issue where Holy is mandatory because it just brings the raid buff better. Now, the next thing is, how are you going to make sure that it only occurs every 30 seconds? It needs to put, like, forbearance, right? You hit forbearance, boom. Or you hit fucking bubble, you get forbearance, 30-second debuff. There needs to be a debuff on the raid, or there needs to be a debuff on every paladin. Because otherwise, what you get is 3 paladins, right? I'm second paladin. I'm fighting this. It's been 4 seconds. I'm still fighting it. I don't know what to press. I don't have anything here. I'm pressing. Oh, 10 seconds up. It's my turn. Switch aura. Now mine proc. I soak some damage over here. Boom. We keep on going. We have the proc rolling. It's 10 seconds. We go. Oh, 10 seconds passed. Let me just swap out. Next paladin, swap in. And you'll just have permanent 5% increased damage. There needs to be... The internal cooldown needs to be shared, or there needs to be a debuff on players. Because if it's just your aura can only proc every 30 seconds, you're just going to play 3 of them. You're going to rotate it. Permanent 5% damage increase. Let's go. No thank you. I do not want this. Please don't. Also, if it is the same as current, where you see here, when any party or raid member within 40 yards take more than 50% of their health in damage in a single hit, if it is required for people to take 50% of their health in a single hit, people are going to go soak swirlies. Every 30 seconds, one person is going to be sent to soak a swirly. Somebody is going to be sent to soak something unintentional. You're just gonna have people sponge up damage in order to proc this on cooldown. It is not fun. I don't think it's good for the game. I don't think it should be in the game. I don't think we need more raid buffs. I don't think this is gonna help Paladin because Holy still does it better. And if Holy doesn't do it better, then Prot Paladin has more. Like, you need to give... Either you need just make... The easy solution is to just make Aura Mastery class specific. Class specific. Otherwise, you need to give red a red specific button. One of the two. You're not going to help them. You're not going to help red participation or representation by giving Holy more tools. If Aura Mastery is still a thing, it should affect every aura. You're making a new aura, a powerful aura, a mandatory aura. That just means you can have 2 Holy Paladins. That is all it's going to mean. You're going to have 2 Holy Paladins, or you're just going to have 1 Holy Paladin and they're going to have a degenerate swap between the auras. So every 30 seconds they're going to swap into Retribution Aura. Quickly we proc it, then they swap back into Devotion Aura. Like, that is going to be... It's going to be one of those two, yeah? Either you play 1 Paladin and they have to swap every 30 seconds, and it's going to be 10... Either you need to be in the Retribution Aura to keep the buff, so it's going to be 10 seconds without DR, or you're just going to play 2 Paladins, and then the Hunters and DKs are going to cry even harder, right? Because they still don't have anything. You do not need, I don't think you should give Paladin a second raid buff. They have one. It is already used. It is already mandatory. This is the issue. The issue is Holy has Aura Mastery. The others do not. Just, if you put this button in here, then you can use Red Paladins and Prot Paladins for the Devotion Aura. Then you don't need to run a Holy Paladin every fight. If you insist on giving them 2, it's going to be... I don't like it, but if you insist on giving them 2, you're not going to change anything unless you give Red something to compete with Rally, Darkness, AMZ, or whatever. You need to give red something specifically, because otherwise what you're looking at is, why would I bring a red when I can bring 2 holies and get an aura mastery? Like get 2 aura masteries, right? Because the holy can just, even if the situation where aura mastery does not even affect retribution aura at all, which it should, it's an aura, but let's say it doesn't, they can always swap into devotion aura for 8 seconds, hit aura mastery, boom, raid wide DR, swap back to retribution aura afterwards, because you can swap in combat. So why would you bring a holy paladin if you don't? Oh, sorry, why would you bring a red paladin over a holy paladin? And furthermore, if prot paladin is just remotely viable, then you just get the retribution aura through the prot paladin and you get to use a spell warding. But red has nothing. It needs a button. It does not need a second raid buff. It needs a button. Or it needs aura mastery to be in the class tree. One of those two. I do not think this is a good idea. I do not think it's going to solve the issues you're having. I do not think it's going to do what they want it to do, which is put red paladins in the raid. I do not think it's going to do that unless you do other things. And I just... don't give us more raid buffs, please. That was my fucking rant. I'm out. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.